American rapper A$AP Rocky is facing significant prison time in Sweden following accusations of physical assault. And he apparently has an unlikely ally in this case, Donald Trump. Now, Kanye West spoke with Donald Trump, somehow was able to communicate with him and get Donald Trump involved in this case. A$AP Rocky still needs to stand trial and he faces 2 years in prison. He was not let out on bail. They do not have a cash bail system in Sweden. So he has to remain in custody in Sweden until his court date. And so Trump got word of this and tweeted the following: very disappointed in Prime Minister Stefan Löfven for being unable to act. Sweden has let our African American community down in the United States. I watched the tapes of A$AP Rocky and he was being followed and harassed by troublemakers. Treat Americans fairly, #FreeRocky. So I'm gonna show you a video of the incident and just understand that the prosecutor in Sweden argues that there's more video evidence that the public hasn't seen. But with that said, here's what we know so far, here's what we've seen so far. Let's go to the first video where A$AP Rocky can be heard telling the man to leave them alone.
Go down there, go man.
Touch me, bro. We don't want no problem.
No, say no,
bro. Go down that way, bro. Touch me.
Just go that way, man. I'm not too nice. Can you go that way?
I'm nice.
Before I slap the dog out, you go down that way. You're trying me right now. Go that way. Get out of here.
Yo, go.
Hey, go.
Come on.
Hey, go this way.
My iPhone, my headphone.
Go this way.
My friend.
Go this way.
You know?
Go this way.
You know?
I feel you. Listen. We don't want to fight y'all. We're not trying to go to jail.
My headphone is.
You hit him with it.
I want my
I
headphone.
understand that you hit him with it,
I
bro.
want.
Goes down the street. Go down the street. Go down the street.
Listen, bro. It's okay, bro. Chill,
Why
bro.
you? Man, I want my headphone.
Stop.
Why stop? He my iPhone.
Just for the cameras, we don't want no problems with these boys. They keep following us. Look at them. They keep following us.
Yo, stop following me, man.
What's good?
Nah, he hit him with the headphones. That's it.
Sweetie, he hit me with the headphones. He cut me on my head. I could really beat the out of him. I don't even know him. He's following us. We don't even know him. So tell him to leave us alone.
Go somewhere. Go that way, bro, before you get hurt. We don't want to hurt y'all. Go that way, bro.
Okay, so the next video is of the actual fight that broke out as a result of all of this. But the case that A$AP Rocky and his team are making is that they were defending themselves, that these guys were following them, they wouldn't leave them alone. You can hear in that video, they allege that one of them got hit by the headphones, which is why they took the headphones away. And the bigger guy is the security guard for A$AP Rocky. So just go to one more video. This is the TMZ video that was published that shows how the fight kind of unfortunately devolved.
Okay, so let's break it down. We're gonna get to Trump in a second. First on the fight. Look, A$AP Rocky has a good point that they tried not to fight. 1,000 times they tried. They're like, please go away, please go away. So that'll be interesting in court, right? And I'm curious the way that the jury or the judge is gonna wind up ruling on this case. On the other hand, the prosecutors are saying, yes, but you didn't have to fight. You could just keep walking, and you chose to engage in this altercation, and they claimed that there was a bottle involved, so there was a weapon involved. And well, the prosecutors also appear to be right. Could they have kept walking? Yes. Were the guys annoying? Yes. So both sides are right in that case. that fight didn't need to happen. So that based on what we've seen, and prosecutors claim they have more tape, as Anna pointed out. So if I'm looking at it, I go, am I positive that ASAP Rocky is the victim of a horrible injustice? No, I'm not remotely positive of that. Am I positive he's guilty? No, I'm not positive of that either, right? And by the way, that's why you have courts. And so now, just my point of view on Trump's tweet. There was one part I liked. I liked when he said treat Americans fairly. He's the president of America. There's an African-American guy and he's treating him like an American. Now that's the lowest bar in American history, but oftentimes Trump doesn't clear that bar. And oftentimes he views African-Americans as not really Americans, as he did with Ayanna Pressley. So okay, that part, congratulations, you acted like a president for the first time in your life in one portion of a tweet. Now, the part that's comical though is when he says, Sweden has let our African-American community down in the United States. What are you talking about? See, this is what Trump, I mean, he thinks, black people like rap. This guy's a rapper. No. I'm going to get popular with black people by saying that I'm in favor of the rapper, right or wrong. And you didn't let our country down, you let our African-American community down because all black people like hip hop and rap. And this guy, I mean, come on, he can't help himself.
Donald Trump does not get involved in anything unless there's something in it for him or unless some celebrity has reached out to him and encouraged him to do the right thing. So he pardoned Miss Alice Johnson because Kim Kardashian spoke to him, a celebrity spoke to him, and good for her for doing that. We gave her a lot of credit. But he will do it if he gets to hobnob with the right people or if it's going to benefit him politically. That being said, I mean, I'm glad he stepped in. I don't know how much it's really gonna help, especially if he's gonna, antagonize the very people who might have some ability to do something for ASAP Rocky. But at the same time, I mean, the fact that he thinks Sweden is letting the African-American community in America down is just, we all know that's ridiculous.
Yeah, his treatment of people like minorities and obviously women exist in massive generalizations, and obviously foreigners as well. Yet, the things that tend to motivate and incentivize Trump to action tend to be incredibly specific, almost like soap opera-like, right? Or reality TV-like, right?
100%,
so it's because he's homies with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian West that this somehow matters to him all of a sudden. So it's actually pretty surreal how these two things blend together in the most powerful person in the world as a political leader. But I also want to note two other quick points in relation to this story. One is the kids or the dudes that got attacked in the situation looked like they themselves were immigrants to Sweden, possibly, or at least minorities. They were not white Swedish people at the minimum. Second of all, it looked like a gang, or I'm not gang in a loaded sense, but a few people ganged up on those folks and attack them.
On the two individuals falling. There's one other perspective that I think is important to mention though. Remember, ASAP Rocky is a rapper, he's an artist, he probably has money. And so I don't think that it's far-fetched for someone to harass him and follow him and maybe try to provoke him with the hope that he would attack in some way and be able to sue him. There was one other rapper, G-Eazy, who was involved in this. And what I think is fascinating is G-Eazy was able to pay a fine. And he was charged with violence against a public servant, resisting arrest and possession of narcotics in Sweden, but was released after pleading guilty and fined 80,000 kroner, which is around $8,500 or 7,600 euros. After a day and a half in custody. But with ASAP Rocky, I mean, he's currently in custody right now. Yeah. He's facing 2 years in prison. Yeah. It's important to mention G-Eazy is a white rapper. I don't know if that plays a role in their decision making here.
Okay, but guys, so look, full context. So G-Eazy admitted guilt and paid the fine. ASAP Rocky hasn't. He could think that's because I'm innocent. That's fine, but that's a huge difference in the case. And it was not the same incident. So G-Eazy was a completely separate incident with different fact scenarios in May of last year. So it's a little apples and oranges in that sense. Look, I agree with both of you. Maybe they're pursuing him because he's, even if it's not for the money, because of fame. On the other hand, 3 guys beating down 1 guy doesn't look good. And if I'm a prosecutor, I'm gonna look at that pretty seriously. But and then in terms of the money, I hate when they do this. They're like, and ASAP Rocky's really been hurt because he had to cancel a tour and they had a dozen. Yeah, I know, but when a normal guy gets arrested, he loses his job as a carpenter. And that hurts him even more. Yeah, okay, he didn't lose millions of dollars, but his family's more devastated. So I don't like this when they frame it like, oh, this poor rich person, oh my God, he lost out on so much money because he got arrested. Well, maybe they shouldn't have beat up one guy with 3 guys at a time.
I want to know whether or not that guy actually hit them with headphones or any other object, because that's what they were alleging in the first video. We don't know the facts yet. We just have these videos to go off of, and we'll see what happens. This is the story. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I do also want to just make the slight point that there is always an opportunity. I am not nearly as famous as either of my friends here, but there is always the opportunity when one is being followed to try to be compassionate and patient and maybe not try to get in a violent interaction. I just think always of the Alex Jones supporters confronting Van Jones video. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Van Jones managed to hang in there, stay with these folks for like 30 minutes, and basically get them to say, okay, we agree with a lot of things you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, bless his heart for being that patient. I wouldn't spend it at 30 nanoseconds with an Alex Jones supporter. But look, last thing, guys, and on a fun note. So Trump says, that he would pay bail to get ASAP Rocky out of prison. Sweden doesn't have bail. So he didn't bother to look that up. And then he yells at the prime minister, why won't you get him out of prison? He's like, I can't. That's in our system, I can't interfere with judges. And by the way, you couldn't either. If he was already convicted, you could pardon him or commute his sentence, but you can't say to prosecutors, hey, let my friend out of prison and don't even try him. That's not a thing in Sweden, and that's not a thing in America. So even when Trump tries brazenly, obviously, to try to get, in his mind, black voters' support, he still bungles it because he never bothered to do any homework and just was like, all right, I got this. I'm gonna tweet, I'll pay his bail.
Yeah.
Typical Trump. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.